Evacuate? In our moment of triumph? I think you overestimate their chances. Buenos dias, suicidalists. Let's do this, shall we? Last Sunday was Peter Cushing's birthday. The late actor would have been 100 years old. So to commemorate a century of concentrated awesome, Frankensteinia, the blog of all things Frankenstein, has dedicated an entire week of blogging dedicated to the late legend of horror Peter Cushing. They also opened up the opportunity to participate in this blogathon to any blog that would like to participate. Don't know who Peter Cushing is? Here's a brief overview. Peter Cushing was a British actor who acted in over 130 movies, mostly for Hammer Films. He was the chocolate to Christopher Lee's peanut butter. He was best known for playing Abraham Van Helsing, Victor von Frankenstein, Sherlock Holmes, and Grand Moff Tarkin. Today being the last day of the Peter Cushing Centennial Blogathon, I bring you my contribution. I love Doctor Who, but I gotta tell you, I feel a little out of step with current trends in Doctor Who fandom. See, my favorite Doctors are not 10 and 11 like everybody else on the internet. Take a minute to just look at Doctor Who tagged images on Tumblr, and I guarantee that all you're gonna see are pictures of Matt Smith, David Tennant, and that's it. Nobody else. I like those two quite a bit, and I think that there's some real science fiction gold in their episodes, but I just don't get stupid over them like a lot of other people who are really going bananas about Doctor Who these days. Me and the Doctor go way back to about 8 years old when my dad turned on PBS one afternoon and Doctor Who was on, and he had enough time to remark that Doctor Who was on before my mother made him change the channel. But I saw that, and it was enough to really capture my imagination. I loved it, but as hard as it may be these days to believe, given Doctor Who's status as a sort of sophisticated icon of science fiction, there was a time when being open about your enthusiasm for Doctor Who would draw some pretty serious criticism, even from other science fiction fans. People were because it was so low rent and so British, people were very suspicious of it in America. But I would spend whole Sunday afternoons watching entire Doctor Who serials, and my favorite Doctor was the fourth Doctor, Tom Baker. Sure, the special effects were super crappy, and Tom Baker looks positively insane in those episodes. But I gotta tell you, the writing in the fourth Doctor episodes in the 70s there were head and shoulders above any Doctor Who writing that came in its wake. But what I did not know was that other actors have portrayed the Doctor outside of the sort of official canonical 11. Hugh Grant, Rowan Atkinson, and Joanna Lumley have all been the Doctor in a single spoof. And one of the things that I also discovered while doing some research for an article I wrote for Scream Magazine about Night of the Living Dead was that Amicus Productions had produced 2 feature films about Doctor Who, with Peter Cushing as the Doctor instead of the television's first Doctor, William Hartnell. And this was way before the BBC had really established the mythos of Doctor Who. And the Doctor was hot, so you may as well capitalize what you can, right? So leave it to Amicus, sort of the poor man's alternative to Hammer Films, to exploit this fully. In the frenzy to squeeze as much out of Doctor Who as possible, Amicus Productions cobbled together a couple of Doctor Who features. And remarkably, there's not a whole lot of information about them out there. So I can only speculate as to why there are such radical creative differences between the movie Doctor and the television Doctor. I suspect that it has something to do with plans for the movie to be sold to a foreign market where Doctor Who had not yet been established. I mean, it wouldn't be until the 70s when North America and other parts of Europe would actually see Doctor Who on television. This also explains why Peter Cushing was cast as the Doctor instead of William Hartnell, who was the first Doctor, on television. Outside of the UK, nobody really heard of William Hartnell, but Peter Cushing had a very long-running career as an actor in horror and thrillers, and he also had a contract with Amicus. Since the show was still being broadcast while the film was premiering in theaters, this explains why William Hartnell is the Doctor, and Peter Cushing is not considered one of the official canonical Doctors. The first of the two Doctor Who movies is Doctor Who and the Daleks, and I apologize, but it's the only one of the two that I can comment on, since its sequel, Daleks Invasion Earth 2150, can be a little tricky to track down. Doctor Who and the Daleks is adapted from a very early episode of Doctor Who called The Daleks, which introduced the Time Lord's long-running enemy. The Doctor, his two granddaughters, and the sort of clumsy-ass boyfriend of his oldest granddaughter are transported through space and time in the TARDIS to the planet Skaro long after a war has ravaged the planet, made it sort of barren to life. The Doctor and his companions meet both the Daleks and the Thal, and they wind up forming an alliance with the latter when the Daleks reveal a plan to detonate a bomb on the surface of the planet that will raise the radiation levels to such a degree that it will finish what's left of the Thals. It's a pretty simple setup, and the plot is dumbed way down, I suspect, for foreign markets that were unfamiliar with the show. And it's also pretty apparent that Amicus was really working hard to appeal to young children. And based on the film's box office success, I'd say mission accomplished. But Peter Cushing is great. You know, his career up to this point had been characterized by evil and menace. And here he gets to play a sort of gentle, friendly, grandfatherly type. It's actually kind of a bit in hard contrast of the William Hartnell Doctor. His performance, I always felt to be a little intense and kind of grumpy. And of the few Hartnell episodes that I've seen, I didn't really like him. And quite frankly, I'm surprised that anybody did. But just because Peter Cushing plays it really friendly and warm doesn't necessarily make him a better Doctor. Cushing's Doctor is actually kind of silly, and he flies a little bit too close to Nutty Professor territory. I kind of get the impression that he's more like a mentally ill old man than a brilliant scientist capable of inventing something like the TARDIS. And oh yeah, that's something in the movie. It's one of the many weird creative differences, is that the TARDIS is a Doctor Who invention. He created it. And they actually call him Doctor Who. His name in the movie is Doctor Who. He's called this a couple of times. The interior of the TARDIS looks like no TARDIS I've ever seen, but at least the outside is spot on. Also, the Daleks look almost identical to the TV Daleks. A couple of them have like retractable claws instead of the sort of classic Dalek plunger, and instead of shooting lasers, they shoot like a pressurized gas. You know, but with the Thals, they're a bit different. They look less like the television Thals and more like the Eloy from George Pal's adaptation of H.G. Wells's The Time Machine. It's a predictable but fun little movie that you could probably show a little kid. And Doctor Who fans who are completists are absolutely going to want to see it. And fans of the great Peter Cushing will want to check it out also to see that time that he played something other than a madman swinging for the upper limits of Grand Guignol. Happy birthday, Peter Cushing. Horror wouldn't be where it is today without you. Let me know down in the comments if you've seen either of these Doctor Who movies. And do you think that Peter Cushing should be one of the canonical official Doctors? And while you're at it, let me know who your favorite Doctor is. As always, like, comment, subscribe. The Jedi are extinct. Their fire has gone out in the universe. You, my friends, are all that remains of their religion.